Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, March 23rd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Sunday NHL slate. And another Sunday with a good amount of games. Obviously not quite what we see on the Saturday, but 7 games lined up for this Sunday as the march to the Stanley Cup playoffs continues. And it continued yesterday with a profitable day, very good day. And it was finally nice to see. We haven't had, with those big slates, as many big winning days and profitable days as certainly I would have liked, but since the Four Nations face-off. But yesterday was a solid day overall. And what a day of hockey as far as the games that really mattered involving teams with playoff implications. Some excellent games, thrilling finishes. Started with the Vancouver-New York Rangers game. Of course, the great Sam Rosen, the legend, honored before the game in a pregame ceremony. And the New York Rangers get it done on Sam Rosen's big day. Although they got it done basically because Igor Shesterkin gave them a chance in the first 2 periods. The shots were 20-2 at one point in favor of the Vancouver Canucks. And if you're the Canucks, you're just going to feel sick to your stomach that somehow you lost that game, dominating for much of it as you did. But unfortunately, in the third period, you can't have the glaring defensive breakdowns Vancouver had. And unfortunately, it came back to haunt them. Shesterkin was just absolutely spectacular in that game. He needs to be the first, second, and third star for the New York Rangers yesterday. But a big win for the Rangers and a very tough loss for Vancouver. That's 2 tough losses in a row. Of course, they had the loss as well against the St. Louis Blues before that. So, like I said, a tough couple of days there for Vancouver. Back-to-back losses for them. Dallas 3-2 against Philadelphia. What a weird game. Here we are. Dallas comes out with the 2-0 lead, scores on their first 2 shots. The start we all thought they would have after Peter DeBoer kind of called them out. But then they let Philly hang around. They kind of really let Philly carry the play for much of it after the early 2-0 start. And then Philly tied it 2-2, and they didn't score after those early 2 goals in the first period. But they did win in overtime. Just a ghastly mistake by Samuel Ersson. Just gave the puck away, and Thomas Harley made no mistake about it. So that was a weird game where we don't win the full game looks, but we cashed all the first period. The first period was phenomenal. We had the team total overs for the Dallas Stars. We had the Dallas puck line. We had the first period over. So it was good to cash those, but all the full game looks fall short there. Minnesota 4-1 against Buffalo. Not much to say there. Minnesota, even with their injury-depleted state, took care of business in that one. St. Louis with a 4-1 win against Chicago. Not much to say there. I mean, it took a while, but the floodgates eventually opened. They eventually took care of business in a game they should have won. And Pat Maroon making it official that he's retiring, plays his final game with the in St. Louis yesterday of his career, and actually gets into a fight in his final game in St. Louis as well in that game with Tyler Tucker. So it was good to see that. Why not? One last fight for the road here in my hometown of St. Louis for the big rig. But the Blues get another big 2 points to continue to hold down the second wild card spot in the Western Conference. And Jonathan Davis was at this game, so he would know very well. Carolina did not. That was a no-show from the Carolina Hurricanes yesterday, right from the opening puck drop. It's almost like the win streak. They decided to have a little fun in the sun in L.A. Rather than focus on winning a hockey game. And they absolutely pummeled the Carolina Hurricanes 7-2 yesterday, a beatdown from start to finish. It was 3-0 after the first period. It was 6-0 by the midway part of the second period, and it was awful from Carolina. And we'll talk about how maybe beware of Carolina tonight if you're the Anaheim Ducks, who will face the Carolina Hurricanes, who probably won't be in a good mood after getting absolutely shellacked in a no-show, absolute egg of an effort against LA yesterday. Calgary with a 4-3 overtime win against the New York Islanders. This was a great hockey game. This was also a good betting result. I had the draw and the over in this game, and both of them cashed. And Calgary, what an effort to come back down 3-2. They give up the lead late. Huberdeau with a wonderful tip-in to tie it, and then Nazem Kadri wins it in overtime. Just an absolutely massive 2 points for the Calgary Flames in that game, and they're able to pick up the 4-3 overtime win over the New York Islanders. But the Islanders still get a big, important point. So that's a good thing for them that they were still obviously able to secure 1 point, because every point at this time of year is valuable. Utah with the 6-4 win against Tampa Bay. Brandon Halverson ended up being the surprise starter. They did not go with Vasilevsky, and we kind of hinted at that. And as soon as I saw that, definitely looking at Utah team total overs in that game, and it was great to see that all come through. Utah with the 6-4 win, and a huge 2 points for them as they're still in the hunt. 3-3 after the first period, Florida-Washington. Just an absolute track meet, up and down, but then Washington is the one team that stepped up, tightened things up, and ended up winning 6-3 over Florida. A great win for the Capitals. And the Panthers continue to play less than inspiring hockey here in this stretch without Tkachuk and Ekblad. Let's be honest, they're not playing great right now, the Florida Panthers, and they lose 6-3 to the Washington Capitals. Oh, Toronto Maple Leafs. What can I say? You know, I don't know what happened. They were up 2-0. They were going to go up 3-0. They had a great start, and I'm like, they're going to beat the shit out of this team, as I kind of thought they could. And then they were about to go up 3-0, but the goal got disallowed. And from that moment, it's like they stopped playing. It's like, you know what? That's it. We put in our time for tonight. And they were not very good at all, especially defensively after that. Nashville got it to 2-1 before Toronto got it to 3-0. And it gave a bad team with very little confidence, very little mojo, life. And it just snowballed from there. And Nashville ended up getting a 5-2 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs in that game. Disappointing that they have Tampa lose, Florida lose. They have a chance to gain sole possession of the Atlantic, and you have a game like that yesterday against Nashville. Disappointing. Ottawa 3-2 over New Jersey. Big win for the Sens. They needed it. Bounce back after a couple of losses. Not a great game from the Devils. And what a clip from Sheldon Keefe, if you haven't seen it yet, just ripping on one of his players publicly in the media. Johnny Kovacevic, they asked him about, one of the comments he made, after the game, that maybe we need to bring a little playoff intensity. He says, Johnny Kovacevic needs to start playing better. That would help. And that's just right out, wow. Hello. And like I said in our group chat, Johnny Kovacevic, meet the bus and the man throwing you under it. Sheldon Keefe. Holy shit. Wow. And that tells you how pressure-filled it is right now for these coaches. I mean, sometimes they'll just spit out stuff that maybe they should have kept private, but, they're feeling the heat. They're not happy with the way their team is going. But and Sheldon Keefe's not been the kind of guy to do that historically. But, boy, he certainly did that last night, just calling out Johnny Kovacevic and his struggles on the blue line lately for the New Jersey Devils as they lose 3-2 to Ottawa. What a great game Colorado-Montreal was. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The atmosphere at the Bell Center when the Canadians are playing meaningful hockey is second to none. The place was jumping. It was loud. That overtime, you could hear every time Montreal's got a rush up the ice in overtime, the crowd's you can hear the noise being generated from the crowd easily coming across your television speakers. Just a great environment. What a job by That is definitely a point won as opposed to a point lost by the Montreal Canadiens. To be down 4-1, come back, tie the game, even though you lose in a shootout 5-4 to Colorado. It was a great job and a huge point. Every point matters at this time of year. And the Habs were able to at least get 1 point out of that game. I cashed the draw. Alex cashed the draw. We also had the over by Fecta in that game cashed. So that was a great result overall. Vegas ends up getting pummeled by the Vegas pummels, I should say, the Detroit Red Wings 6-3. Terrible stuff from Detroit defensively. Awful at times what we've seen from them. And I like how Ray Ferraro called out Tarasenko for just a hideous effort defensively in front of his own net on one of those goals. Like Ray Ferraro was carving him up, saying, you got to commit to the cause more than that and prove you want to try to make the playoffs. And it was impressive analysis from Ray Ferraro. He did not let Vladimir Tarasenko, like basically the old flamingo, not blocking a shot, not tying up a stick, not doing anything defensively. And that's Tarasenko's issue. When he's not scoring, he's not doing anything else for you. And that's, consistently been, a bit of a problem for him in the past. But Vegas with a big win, and the struggles continue for Detroit. Edmonton 5-4 over Seattle. No problem with the overs in that game. First period over, full game over was one of my two best bets for the show yesterday. I said, I still think at 5.5, this total's too low. Even without McDavid and Draisaitl, you're going to get other guys stepping up. Hat-trick for Nugent Hopkins. Jeff Skinner scored. I said Seattle will score some as well. And it was an easy peasy with the first period full game over there between the Kraken and the Oilers. And then the last game of the night, I had the over by Fecta, which lost, but I did thankfully jump in a little bit on San Jose plus 110. I just said this is their spot to win finally a game because Boston as a road favorite, really can't be trusted. And sure enough, it ended up being a 3-1 San Jose win as the Boston Bruins continue to flounder. So after all that, Alex, your thoughts on what we saw last week?
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, a lot to go over. Just kind of pick out a couple of things. We look at the Detroit and Vegas game. This looks like I said, the writing on the wall for Detroit at this point. And, you couldn't continue playing Peter Mrazek every game down the stretch. You're going to have to give Talbot a start. But like you said, the defense in front of him was poor, but there were some saves that he could have made that he didn't as well. And that's been the same kind of story with Talbot for a while. So that's just a bad, embarrassing loss. And I said in our chat, I said there's a national TV audience getting to see why Detroit is going to more than likely miss the playoffs for another year. It's just damning because this is a team that had a lot of talent up front, like I said, just the defensively and goaltending. And those are the things we said going all the way back to the season preview. We said they have to play better defensively. They have to get quality goaltending. They didn't, and that seems to be what's going to be keeping them toward the bottom. Colorado, Montreal, that was a fun game. And like you said, the energy in that building, like I said, it's second to none. When there's good hockey in Montreal, it's great for the league. It's great for that organization. But that fan base really steps up and shows out. And, I was actually watching part of the game earlier. And then as Montreal comes back, I'm listening to it on the radio. You can hear the crowd on the radio broadcast, on the Habs broadcast, just as loud as you could watching the TV broadcast. So that tells you that place was packed and they're making noise. Complete opposite of what you'll find in Toronto this time of year. For damn sure. There's not even close in comparison. Speaking of Toronto, we said be careful with that game because it's hard to trust Trashville, but you can't trust Toronto as a favorite on the road. And sure enough, hop out to a 2-0 lead, and they just completely let it fall apart. Like I said, we hadn't seen that happen much with Berube. They said it was more of a Sheldon Keefe style Leafs team that we saw last night. But that's just the way that goes. Kudos to Nashville for getting 2 points at home. Sure, their fans are happy about that. LA with that 7-2 win over Carolina. I said this was a sneaky over game. And if you were listening to me, you had chances to grab first period over, twice over at plus prices, full game over 5.5 at plus prices. Ended up getting 3 goals in the first period. LA just taking care of it. Like I said, Carolina, absolute no-show. I'm really curious to see what they look like today in their back-to-back game. Both those teams having back-to-back games today. So looking forward to the slate today.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to the Sunday card's not bad. Now we don't have those. We don't have those great, big-time playoff implications, head-to-head games like we did yesterday, but there's still consequence out there for a lot of teams playing for positioning. Florida's in action, trying to nail down a division. Tampa Bay, same thing. They're in the division race. Vegas, they're trying to maintain their spots. So there's still a meaningful hockey today on the slate. We will begin with the Buffalo Sabres and Winnipeg Jets. This is one of 2 games starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Winnipeg minus 340, home favorites, 6 the total, 5.5 in a couple spots. So shop around, depending on what total you like, whether it's the over or the under. We'll have to see who's in net. We haven't got confirmation yet. I know at RotoWire, I'm sure this is the spot, finally the game we're going to see James Reimer. I'm very confident James Reimer is going to start for Buffalo. It's a back-to-back. They finally need to rest UPL, and he's a Manitoba boy, Manitoba man, James Reimer playing close to home. So I'm sure Lindy Ruff is finally going to give him a start here in this game. We don't know who's going to start for Winnipeg. Winnipeg does not play Monday. They play Tuesday after this at home against Washington, which is a pretty big game between these are 2 of the teams battling for the President's Trophy right now, Washington and Winnipeg, and they're going head-to-head on Tuesday. I'm seeing some sites have Eric Comrie, though, projected for Winnipeg, but it's not confirmed as of yet. I would hold off on betting this game until I know that, because certainly if it's Comrie, I obviously get less interested with Winnipeg. There's still no way I could back Buffalo. I mean, back to back, they're not playing well, even with James Reimer in net. Here's the issue with this Winnipeg game, and it's probably why I've got no bet on the game right now, and why I may have no bet on the game once we know who the goaltender is going to be for Winnipeg, because the Jets are kind of in one of those, I don't want to say go through the motions parts of their season, but they're in a spot where they're going to win the Central. I just think there's too much ground for Dallas or anyone else to catch them at this point. And you're seeing it creep into their game a little bit. In a game without Leon and Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, they were life and death to win in overtime. They escaped Seattle after falling down 2-0 early in that game. You're not seeing Winnipeg put in 60 minutes of strong play the last few games. And if I don't see that, I'm not getting anywhere near a favorite of this price range when I'm seeing Winnipeg kind of lollygag is the word a little bit here the last few games like they have. It's a pass for now. I wouldn't even be surprised if I'm not involved once I do know who's in net for the Jets here. Alex, what do you think? Sabres, Jets.
This is a complete pass for me. I didn't even really look at this game on the board, to be honest. That's just how, I've checked out of Buffalo I've been. It's either team total or nothing. The 3.5 laying 140. You can't trust that with Winnipeg. How many times do we see Winnipeg in this spot at home play a sleeper and it's 1-0 Buffalo in the third, and then Winnipeg scores 2 goals late?
Or 2-1 to beat San Jose in overtime, like on that Monday night that I still remember.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They did the same thing in Chicago a couple of times as well. So yeah, this is a complete pass.
Yeah. There are props I like. I like Paterka. He's scored in back-to-back games for the Sabres. McLeod's been on a good streak for them as well. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Winnipeg's gone over in the first period in 5 straight games. That I am kind of interested in, but I'm waiting to see if it's Comrie. I prefer it with Comrie. I might bet over 1.5 first period if it is indeed Eric Comrie here in this game. But you're right, 5 straight overs for Winnipeg in the first period. So that trend I might ride for something small, especially if Eric Comrie is indeed between the pipes here in this one. All right, next up, we've got Philadelphia and Chicago. This is also a 3 p.m. Eastern start time here. We've got Philadelphia minus 140, road favorites. The total here, 5.5, pretty much across the board. Give me Chicago here. I mean, plus 120. I know they're not always trustworthy and reliable, but who in their right mind is laying a price with Philly on the road against anybody right now? Even though yesterday they did take Dallas to overtime, it's another kick in the gut loss because they battle back only to have their goaltender, Samuel Ersson, just absolutely piss it away with a horrific turnover and a horrific giveaway. This is just one of those coin flip games, and I'd just rather be on the side of the home dog rather than the struggling, reeling road favorite right now, the Philadelphia Flyers. So I'm small shot on Chicago, plus 120. Hard to trust either of these teams, but to me, there's more value there than with Philly, that is for sure. And Spencer Knight projected in net. We don't know who Philly's going to start because it was supposed to be Ersson today with Fedotov starting yesterday, but Fedotov comes out of that game. Ersson goes in, and it throws everything maybe out of whack. So do they go back to Fedotov today? We'll have to wait and see. But either way, regardless of the goaltending situation, it's Flyers as chalk is a no bueno for me the rest of the season. See, Alex, what do you think here? Philadelphia, Chicago.
So we talked about this kind of, I think it was after the show on Friday, and I mentioned this spot, and I said, I like the Hawks to lose on Saturday, but I'm coming back on them to win on Sunday. Plus 120, this is a great spot. We know, like I said, this team plays just a different game when it's Spencer Knight in net compared to Soderblom. They also play better at home, and you've got Philly, like I said, as a favorite, they've been awful. Second leg of back-to-backs, 1-10 on the season as well. So this is a bad spot for the Flyers, and I think a good spot for the Hawks. Like I said, grab them at a plus price. Also, we'll have a bargain bin spot from this game as well.
Yeah, there you go. Owen Tippett's had success against Spencer Knight, so goal prop to consider there if you like in this game as far as that's concerned. Prop-wise, I'm just taking a look at, obviously Chicago only had the 1 goal. Philly's continues to have trouble scoring goals. But I'm going to take a shot with Poehling. Ryan Poehling for Philly scored in back-to-back games. Why not? Plus 800 in some spots for him to find the back of the net. So why not take a shot there? Ryan Poehling, that maybe he can find the back of the net here for the Philadelphia Flyers on this little 2-game goal streak that he's on. Couturier, by the way, He is currently on a nice little run, too, with 2 consecutive games with a point for the Philadelphia Flyers. I think for goal props on the Chicago side, like I said, I would expect the offense to finally come alive a little bit. Mikheyev's up with Nazar and Bedard, it looks like. We'll have to see if the Trooper is going to play because he's listed as day-to-day. He left the game due to injury. It might have been because of that fight he was in with, of all people, Jake Neighbors. He didn't like the hit on Alec Martinez in that game. Good teammate there, Jason Dickinson, but may miss this game today. We'll have to wait and see how he plays.
And Martinez didn't come back in that game yesterday either, so we got to also wait word on him as well.
Yeah, good. Oh, that's a good point, Jonathan, about the schedule for the Flyers. They've played Carolina, Tampa, Washington, Dallas. Those are heavyweights the last 4 games and busted their tail. And, they did play competitive with Washington, competitive with Dallas. Carolina was kind of a tough game for them. But, yeah, those are 4 good. Now you play Chicago. You're right. It's just, how much stamina is left for the Flyers and back-to-back with travel, too. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just seeing now Jason Dickinson and Alec Martinez both out. Philip Kurashev and Louis Crevier drawing in those spots.
There you go. I was pretty sure both of them would miss this game, and it looks like that is indeed the case. All right, Nashville, St. Louis. Got the Blues minus 180, home favorites, 5.5 the total, shaded to the under. Nashville got their win yesterday. They took advantage of a team that, had a 2-0 lead, kind of fell asleep, and they got them. St. Louis is playing 60 minutes of hockey right now, and we got useless on it and projected in net for the Nashville Predators. I'm going back to old reliable St. Louis team total over 3.5. That's the way to bet the Blues right now. They're scoring goals in bunches. They're playing with great the desire, obviously, to make the playoffs. It's been a great run. Jim Montgomery, outstanding work with this team. To be able to get them in a position where they can make the postseason. So lots to like about the Blues. They have scored 4 goals or more in all 5 games during this current win streak. They've scored at least 4 in all of them. Justus Onanen, or as I call him, useless Onanen, not very good. These teams have played each other twice this year. St. Louis won 7-4 at home, and then they won in Nashville 4-1. It's also 8-2 to the over. In the last 10 meetings between these two teams. So I'm going to do what I did yesterday. Now, unfortunately, yesterday, over by Fecta crashed and burned with Chicago and St. Louis. But I did have the Blues team total over, and that hit. I like that more than anything, Blues team total, over 3.5. But I'm also going to get in on the over by Fecta once again here with the Predators and the Blues. I mean, we're talking it's cheap for the 1.5 in the first period, cheap for the full game at 5.5. And I think it can get there, especially with Onanen in net, a goalie we don't trust. So over by Fecta, as well as St. Louis team total, over 3.5 at a really good price, upwards of plus 135 at Bet365 for that team total for the Blues. For a team that scored 4 more goals in 5 straight games, to be able to get Blues team total over 3.5 plus 135, it's a great price. What do you think here in this one, Alex? Predators, Blues.
Yeah, I got the first period over 1.5 minus $1.05, and I have Blues team total over 3.5 plus 126. I got that at FanDuel, but I didn't get there with the over 5.5. More than likely will though. I mean, we're seeing it. I'm seeing it high as plus $1.09. Plus 100. So that's something I'll just wait to try and grab in game. Try and grab plus 115, maybe plus 120. Get a little greedy with that, but I like the first period over. Like I said, we like goals when it's on and in the net. And St. Louis, there's no reason for them to take their foot off the gas, certainly against a team that they could demolish here with Nashville. And Nashville coming off of that win, maybe they would feel a little fat and sassy too. So, definitely like Blues team total over, and I like that first period over. Pre-game, full game over, I'll grab it alive.
And, of course, this is also Nashville off a win. And how many times have we talked about Nashville and how horrendous they've been off a win much of the season? That's another thing with that. And by the way, too, with this, and that's the reason I'm on the over by Fecta 2 series history is playing the role in that 8-2, like I said, in the last 10 meetings between these teams. What else do we see here? I think when you look at props in this game, Zach Bolduc, plus 340. He scored in back-to-back games for the Blues. He's been very solid. Keep an eye on him. And obviously, he's someone that showed some definitely some offensive punch of late, and he's now playing with Thomas and Neighbors. So getting that opportunity as well, Zachary Bull Duke. Jake, won't you be my neighbor? We've talked about Jake Neighbors. He's picked things up lately. Our guy Holloway is always a threat, playing with Shen and Kyrou right now. So there's definitely a lot of different options you could go with on the St. Louis side of the equation. There is some value for me right now with Evangelista. He got 3 points and a goal last night against Toronto, and he's playing on the top line right now with O'Reilly Auto Parts and also Philip Forsberg. So right now you've got him playing some good hockey and getting the opportunity right now on that top line for them. So yeah, definitely some value on the for Luke Evangelista at the moment for the Nashville Predators, as long as he maintains that position in the lineup up on that top line. All right, Pittsburgh, Florida. Next game on the slate here, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins and Florida Panthers. Florida minus 260, home favorites in this game, and the total sitting at 5.5, shaded to the over between these two teams. You look at this matchup here, it's a big price for a Florida team that's just not playing their best right now, and it's back-to-back. It's actually rest advantage, too, for Pittsburgh because they played Friday night, the one and only Friday game, against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know if I've got the guts to bet Pittsburgh here. That being said, Pittsburgh is 5-1 in their last 6. They're playing hard. They're playing at least not mailing it in here down the stretch for a team that's not going to make the playoffs. And like I said, Florida is a very lackluster 2-4 in their last 6 games. The wins against Toronto by 1, Columbus in overtime. They've also lost to Boston, Montreal, the Islanders, and Washington during that span. It's back-to-back here for the Florida Panthers. You look at the 2 meetings this year between the teams. They both went past regulation. 5-4 Penguins win in Pittsburgh, a 3-2 Panthers win in Florida in the 2 previous meetings this year. I might sprinkle on the draw here, quite honestly, Penguins and Panthers. I could see this one having overtime potential. 2 previous meetings this year, both going past regulation. So like the draw a little bit. Probably won't do much with the game other than that. What do you think here, Alex? Pittsburgh, Florida.
Yeah, you're getting good value with that too. Plus 380, I'm seeing at FanDuel. I would sprinkle with the draw here. Otherwise, this would kind of be a pass for me. Like I said, Pittsburgh's been a team that kind of back. Like I said, they've played hard, right? And that's the thing. They're not going to quit. Like I said, Crosby's not going to let this bunch quit. But they have their off nights. But Florida's just been kind of just dragging through it too a little bit. So yeah, I'll sprinkle on the draw. That's the only thing I have here.
Yeah, and I remember the last time Florida gave up 4 goals was that game against, let me see, it was the Islanders. They lost 4-2, and it was a 1-0 tight affair right after that. So I think the total could go either way. Pittsburgh's kind of a team I think is an over team still, but Florida probably is going to want to tighten up after what we saw yesterday. It is 4 straight overs for Pittsburgh. At 5.5, I'm very tempted to bet over this total, but I think Florida's going to want to, batten down the hatches defensively after the kind of game it turned into yesterday in their 6-3 loss against Washington. So that would be the one concern I would have with that. Tristan Jarry confirmed in net for Pittsburgh. And of course, it was Vanacek who got the start yesterday for the Florida Panthers. Probably another reason why they lost, by the way. Vanacek in net. But so we would expect Sergei Bobrovsky here to get the nod here. They didn't play great in front of him, but still, there's a couple of those goals I kept wondering, but Bobrovsky was in net. Would he have stopped that? And I kind of thought on a couple of those Washington goals, the answer was yes. So, like I said, draw I'm interested in. Total, I think, could go either way here at this point in time. They better be interested, Perlo, today because, like I said, 6 goals yesterday. That's unacceptable for a guy like Paul Maurice who knows his team can play better than that. But Pittsburgh is trending over, so I get the like for the over because Pittsburgh's on a consecutive game over the total streak right now. Crosby with goals in back-to-back games for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we'll see if he can continue that climb right now. Seth Jones continues to, I think, be a very good prop player right now on the back end for Florida. 2-game point streak. He scored in the last game for them. Samoskevich, if you're looking for value. Evan Rodriguez, maybe, because he's playing against his old team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Maybe look in that direction. I keep talking about Mr. Mackie Samoskevich as well, who I think's got value in his props right now as well. So those are some of the props I'd be interested in here when it comes to the Penguins and Panthers. All right, so those are the afternoon and early evening games. That one is at 6 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh, Florida, as is Nashville, St. Louis. The rest of them are the later in the night games. 8 Eastern, we've got Carolina and Anaheim. Carolina minus 225 road favorites. The total in this game currently at 6, shaded to the under. That was a couple of things. One, Carolina having some fun in the LA area, no doubt about it. And second of all, the team just rolling, playing great hockey, and kind of feeling themselves, and getting a little too content. And that was a slap in the face and a wake-up call for the Carolina Hurricanes yesterday. That was a dismantling that they suffered at the hands of the LA Kings. It was a debacle from the start. It was one of the worst games defensively you will ever see this team play. Kochetkov wasn't very good either, so he's culpable as well. It was just a terrible, terrible game for a team that had been rolling, and you'd expect a response, an adequate response from this team here in this game tonight against Anaheim. Now, Anaheim does have the rest advantage, and as we've talked about with Anaheim, they have played some, competitive hockey of late. But I think it's a bit of a tall task here for them. They are coming off a 4-1 win against Nashville. I think a lot of us liked Anaheim as a dog in that game because it was just such a ludicrous price, to take the Nashville Predators as a favorite in that game. I think when you look at this, Anaheim, 4 of the last 5 games, they have beaten Carolina, including 2 straight here at the Honda Center. So you're talking about a team here that has certainly had their share of struggles head-to-head against the Anaheim Ducks in the past. But I don't know. I get the sense after that game was so bad, that game was so awful yesterday for the Carolina Hurricanes that they'll respond here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Carolina first period puck line in this game, and I'm going to do the team total first period deal like I did with Dallas yesterday against Philadelphia, the same kind of approach. So -0.5 plus 140 for first period puck line on Carolina. You can get over 1.5 team total in the first period at plus money. This team, let's not forget, they were playing well before that loss yesterday. A good response spot. Rod Brind'Amour's not going to have to tell them how bad they were. I think you'll have a pretty strong start from them in that game. So not that they can't win the game. Like, I don't mind Carolina full game team total over 3.5. I might sprinkle on that smaller, but I think I like the first period looks more because on the back-to-back, you still have that energy and you want to just respond right away in a positive following just a horrendous performance yesterday. So the first period looks on Carolina. I think they're all worthy of a bet. Puck line and team total opening period for the Canes. Alex, what do you think here? Carolina, Anaheim.
Hope my camera stays on, but yeah, I'm right there with you on the team total. I laid $1.04 with that with the over 3.5 there. Like I said, I think they're gonna take out their frustration on what happened yesterday on Anaheim for sure. And this just feels like one of those spots where they can kind of name their score here. So, and I get where you're going with the first period looks, but I'm just gonna keep it simple with the team total over.
Yeah, I get it. Nothing wrong with that for sure. So, like I said, we'll see what kind of response we get here from the Carolina Hurricanes after, like I said, one of the worst games you'll see them play, without a doubt. As far as props in this game with the Canes and the Ducks, I do want to point out goaltending for this matchup right now. We've got Freddie Anderson projected. It will be Freddie Anderson, obviously, back-to-back. It was Kochetkov yesterday, and Dostal projected for Anaheim as well. Carolina is still a bit banged up. Jordan Staal, Seth Jarvis, Gostisbehere. So we'll have to wait and see on their status for this game. Jordan Staal was a late scratch yesterday in that game against the Kings. Gostisbehere didn't play yesterday against the Kings as well. And Seth Jarvis got injured in that game yesterday, slammed his head right into the boards during that game. It was an ugly collision. So we'll see if those 3 guys are able to play here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see. So I think Staal and Gostisbehere definitely could come back. A little dicey with Jarvis. That was a pretty big hit he took into the boards yesterday. We'll see if he's able to play. He's a tough little son of a gun, obviously, but like I said, see if he's able to suit up here tonight in this game. And then as far as props, like I said, Mason McTavish, 3-game point streak for him. Terry and Strome for the Anaheim Ducks on 2-game point streaks. So not bad to consider, maybe looks toward them. We'll have to see if our guy Nikita Nesterenko is going to play for the Anaheim Ducks, because he's been a big under-the-radar goal scorer for the Ducks in that plus 850 range. So he may be worth a look, too. Maybe Mark Jankowski, too. He scored yesterday, a garbage time goal right at the end to make it 7-2. But my fellow Dundas, Ontario friend, Mark Jankowski, man, he's actually been pretty good since he got to Carolina at the deadline. So maybe a small shot there for him to find the back of the net. All right, Tampa Bay, Vegas, as it's back-to-back for both of these teams. The Lightning falling to the Utah Hockey Club in Vegas, pouring it on and winning against Detroit in the national TV spotlight matchup on ABC last night. Vegas minus 120, home favorites in this game. The total here sitting at looks like 6.5, shaded to the under. It is 6 at some spots. So once again, make sure you shop around to find the best number here when it comes to this game. Just by default, handicapping 101. These are two pretty good teams. Tampa's off a 6-4 loss. Vegas is off the convincing 6-3 win against Detroit. Two good teams. Rather have the good team off a bad game and a loss than the good team off a satisfying pair of victories, if you will. A pair of victories against a Detroit team that's scuffling, and Boston, who are completely tanked the last few games. So let's not act like these two home wins are quality wins here for the Vegas Golden Knights. 5-1 against Boston, 6-3 against Detroit. Tampa in a bit of a bounce-back spot. Tampa's actually played Vegas very well. They've won 3 straight meetings. They won their lone visit to T-Mobile Arena here last year, 5-3 over the Golden Knights. So I'm going to rock with that here in this one. I like Tampa Bay here, plus 100. Bounce-back spot for them. They've played this Vegas team very well. So Lightning money line. Small bet on the over, and why that is because of series history. 5 straight overs between these two teams, 7-3 to the over in the last 10. And the last 2 times they played in Vegas, 5-4 and 5-3 were the final scores. I mean, just for some reason, you get these teams together and there's goals. And, we'll bank on that here. And not to mention Ilya Samsonov, who's capable. He can be very good, but he's a streaky goaltender. Think a little bit more highly, obviously, of Adin Hill, the number 1 goalie for Vegas. So I think there is goal potential here in this game. And again, 5 straight overs in the series, Lightning versus Golden Knights. So over 6. Actually, I found a 6. There are 6s. Shop around. You should be able to find a 6 in this game. Some of the Vegas books have 6. Caesars has 6. There's only a couple books now that have 6.5. So it is 6 at most books. So make sure you shop around, find the over. If you like the over like I do, find the 6. And I like Tampa Bay here, plus 100. Bounce back spot for the Lightning and a team they've played well against. Alex, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Vegas.
Yeah, I just had small shots on the over by factor, leaning a little bit more toward the first period over, but I'll grab a little bit more in game with that full game at 6. I grabbed minus 115 pregame. Like I said, I definitely think there could be goals going both ways. When you look at the series history, that kind of leads to that. So I like the overs here.
There you go, over by Fecta for Alex here with Lightning and Golden Knights. And yes, definitely some props that we're interested in here for this game. Anthony Cirelli is on a 2-game goal streak for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Worth maybe keeping an eye on that. We've got 2-game point streaks right now for Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli for Tampa Bay, Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, Noah Hannafin, and Pietrangelo are on 2-game point streaks. Yeah, don't forget about the defenseman props. Like, there you go. There's Noah Hannafin and Alex Pietrangelo for Vegas. 2 guys that have 2-game point streaks going right now. So keep an eye on maybe looking toward their props here in this game, given the way they've been playing, of late and chipping in offensively as far as point production in this game. And then as far as goal props, like I said, for Tampa Bay, Yanni Gourde's playing with Point and Gensel, so a little bit of a shakeup. Cirelli, I think, is great value because he's playing with Kucherov and Hagel right now. There's been a little bit of a shakeup in the top 6 from John Cooper. He's got Cirelli centering Kucherov and Hagel. Point, Gord, and Gensel now together as the second line. And that probably explains why, there's some decent value right here with Cirelli right now, who, again, has scored in back-to-back games for the Lightning. And you can get up to plus 355 with him to score a goal right now. Yeah, Hertl had the hat trick against Detroit on Saturday. And great performance from him, obviously, in that game. We'll see if he's able to keep it rolling here tonight against this Tampa team, but certainly it was a great performance. And as expected, Vasilevsky, of course, for Tampa Bay in net. No surprise there after being rested yesterday against Utah. All right, final game of this Sunday slate. Jonathan, are you going to be there for this one? Boston Bruins, Los Angeles Kings there at the Crypto Barn. But the Kings minus 270 road favorites in this game total. 5.5 shaded to the under in this game. Boston's becoming one of those teams for me, like a Nashville, where I sure as hell am not betting Nashville. It's do I bet the other side? This game, and Boston's becoming that team for me right now. I'm sure as hell not betting Boston, but do I bet the other side? That becomes the question. And when you look at LA, they're coming off this, beat down over Carolina 7-2. They just completely dominated them. They played great, but let's be honest, Carolina played horrific hockey. I've got basketball going, so I'm thinking basketball. But horrific hockey yesterday from Carolina. That contributed just as much to the LA blowout win. And Jonathan was there. He saw it. Yeah, LA was good, but Carolina their heads were not in that game. You could clearly see it right from the start. When a team has a big win like that, and now they're playing a lesser team at home, the go through the motions for LA now kind of comes into, do they go through the motions now a little bit today? I don't know, but like I said, I'm certainly not betting Boston. And LA's been just an absolute firecracker at home. Obviously, they have one of the best home records in the NHL. So as of now, it's a pass, though, for me in this game. Maybe an under. It could be a sleepy type of. Boston's suddenly not scoring. It's not a good sign for the Boston Bruins that, you score one goal against the San Jose Sharks. So the under 2.5, I could see it here in this game. And by the way, another thing to keep in mind, Darcy Kemper was saved for this game. That was a David Riddick start for the LA Kings yesterday. So the better goalie is playing, and Kemper's been lights out here at Crypto all year. So Perlo, your look there kind of makes sense to me. Now, I don't like the price. That's the only problem. You got to lay huge juice here with this Boston team. You know what you do here is maybe you hope Boston gets one early and you live bet their team total under, maybe. But, I mean, right now, the 2.5 for Boston's team total, do you know what it is at some books? It's like minus 175, minus 180. That is a huge price for Boston team total under 2.5. It's just too pricey for me. So for right now, no bet on this game at the moment. I would expect Kemper in net for LA, and it's looking like obviously Jeremy Swayman for the Boston Bruins, because last night it ended up being Korpisalo getting the opportunity in net for the Bruins in that game last night. Alex, anything you like here? Bruins, Kings.
No, this is a pass, and I was trying to look and see if we don't have anything officially confirmed, so there's nothing on props for maybe Kemper shutout. Maybe I throw a few bucks on that, but this is a spot where, like I said, I don't need to bet every game on the board. Don't really like anything much here, but that might be something I take a flyer on if I add on later.
Yeah, there you go. There's something to bet. First period under for Boston, as in Boston's first period team total under. Kings 8 straight games without giving up a first period goal. There you go. Yeah. And you're going to get at least a little better price than that, I would assume, than the than the full game team total under on Boston. Yeah, first period team total under for Boston is minus 114, minus 120 in some spots. That's digestible. So you can handle that.
You could also bet a 0-0 tie at plus 350, or Kings lead 1-0 plus 390. So maybe
I think Laferriere is due to score, Jonathan. I'm seeing him get chances. He's kind of been snake bit lately. He's cooled off. He had that little run there when they had that great line together. Jim Hiller, he had Laferriere playing with, and he actually still is with Fiala and Byfield. But I'm just saying he was really part of that line chipping in offensively. But he's only got the 2 points since like early February. So he's really cooled off. But I think he's had some opportunities. He had 2 shots on goal yesterday. He had 6 shots on goal a couple games before that against Minnesota. So the shots are there. The opportunities are there. Like the shot volume's there for Alex Laferriere. You hope eventually one of these times it'll go in for him. But yeah, Byfield is still my favorite goal prop right now for the LA Kings. We know he's been absolutely terrific of late. He had that goal-scoring consecutive game goal streak. It just recently got snapped, but he got back on the beam and scored yesterday in the rout over Carolina. And Trevor Moore, someone to keep an eye on. He's now scored in back-to-back games for the Los Angeles Kings. So maybe another goal prop candidate in that one. I guess if you're going to look at anyone for Boston, Geekie is probably the one that stands out. Morgan Geekie I don't know where Boston on it. This is crazy to say this because it's Morgan Geekie. It's not like we're talking about a superstar here, but where would Boston be without Morgan Geekie the last couple of years? He's been such an underrated player for them and is so solid for them. It makes you wonder. But credit to the Bruins for bringing him in because he's been one of the shining lights for them the last couple seasons for them, no doubt. Great stuff. Great show. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much on this Sunday. Almost over 300 people watching the show live. We appreciate you guys joining us. And a reminder, make sure you check out patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. And again, goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So again, make sure you take a look and sign up. And again, we've got the Patreon exclusive Ice Guys live betcast coming up on Tuesday. It's great to finally have a betcast again. It's been a few weeks, so it'll be nice to be back doing the betcast again Tuesday night, March 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us. Again, Ice Guys live betcast. We're very much looking forward to it at 7 p.m. Eastern Tuesday night. Again, always a lot of fun. And the only way to tune into that betcast live and join us on the stream as well is to be a Patreon member. So make sure you sign up before Tuesday night's betcast. Again, $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys. And again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going. So $10 per month. Make sure you sign up. Patreon exclusive betcast Tuesday night. Get on board before then at patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. This is a podcast of the people. It's also a store of the people. And it was requested that we bring back the Skinner shirt, so it will be there for a limited time only, about the next couple of weeks. That's one of the items in there, along with some new items we have as well. Also, 3 days left of free standard shipping. Go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, click on the redeem button at the top of the page. You'll get free standard shipping available to you at checkout once you add all your items to your cart. So don't miss out. 3 days left. Tons of great items. Now's the time to get them, especially with the weather getting nice and warm here. So that's now the time at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, make sure you check it out. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Sunday slate. Alex, I know what you're going to the Madhouse on Madison for a little Flyers Blackhawks matinee affair. For your bargain bin special, what do you got?
Yeah, and shout out to Max Freely 11 in the chat. He did guess it perfectly. It's Ilya Mikheyev. You can get him plus 370 anytime goal scorer at DraftKings. We actually saw this move up to plus 360 at FanDuel's plus 340 when we were talking about the game. So we're getting some good movement heading our way. Like I said, playing on that top line. He's been a guy who's he's been hot right now. He's been feeling ever since Sorensen took over. He's been one of the guys who's really gotten a new lease on his kind of his career. He's been just jumping in and finding the puck on his stick a lot more often. So my camera goes out once again. Ilya Mikheyev plus 370. That's my bargain bin special for the Sunday.
There you go. Well, we can see him. It's just a little bit foggier right now, but we still see Alex there. Plus, there you go. What was the price there for Mikheyev?
Plus 370.
Plus 370. All right, there you go. Ilya Mikheyev plus 370 for the Chicago Blackhawks for Alex with his bargain bin special. I'm going to go with two today. Believe it or not. Because I can't choose between them. I'm going to go with someone that we've used before. Hopefully we get the timing right with him today. Zach Bolduc, St. Louis, plus 350 at Betano. Back-to-back games with a goal. I think he's got a chance to find the back of the net here once again for the St. Louis Blues. So Zach Bolduc playing on the top line as well, plus 350. That'll be my first bargain bin special. My second one, we're going to go to Tampa Bay and Vegas. Anthony Cirelli. Back-to-back games with a goal, centering the top line now for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Plus 355, the best price out there. You can get plus 340, 350 at most books. 355 is the best available price currently. Anthony Cirelli for the Tampa Bay Lightning, plus 355. So there you go. Zach Bolduc, Anthony Cirelli for my bargain bin specials on this Sunday. All right, best bets. For this Sunday slate. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, just trying to figure out all this shit with my camera, so sorry about that. We're going to that first period over 1.5, with Nashville and St. Louis. So it's Predators Blues first period over 1.5 minus $1.05. Still available with that. That is my Sunday best bet.
All right, there you go. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. I don't mind that. Bailey's a bargain bin. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, I could see him scoring back in St. Louis. It's a fun spot for him. I could see maybe this being a game that he maybe pots one here for the Nashville Predators. All right, my best bet for this Sunday slate. I am going to go to, let me just see here. I'm going to go to that St. Louis team total. Going to keep it simple. Blues team total over 3.5. I think it's a great price. They've scored 4 goals or more in 5 straight games. St. Louis Blues team total over 3.5 plus 135. That is what I'm going to lock in here for best bet for this Sunday slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we're excited about this Sunday slate. We love that the Sunday cards now are delivering a decent amount of games here down the stretch of the season. A reminder, we're back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern for the Monday show. And again, our BetCast on Tuesday night. We really can't wait. Here's the games on Tuesday night for the BetCast, which is, again, Patreon exclusive. So make sure you sign up at Patreon if you want to join us Tuesday night for that BetCast. But we've got Flyers, Leafs, Penguins, Lightning, Senators, Sabres, Predators, Hurricanes, Golden Knights, Wild, Habs, Blues. That's a great game. Habs and Blues in St. Louis. Both of those teams battling for postseason positioning in their respective conferences. President's Trophy battle, Washington and Winnipeg, great game. Detroit, Colorado, that's a meaningful game. Detroit's got to try to stop the bleeding. It's not going to be any easier in Colorado for them. Seattle, Calgary, obviously that means a lot to Calgary. And then Rangers and Kings as the Rangers try to stay alive. A good late game there to wrap things up on Tuesday night. So pretty good slate Tuesday night, and we hope you're there with us for the Ice Guys Patreon exclusive live BetCast Tuesday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, make sure you get on board, $10 per month at patreon.com/iceguys to join us for that betcast. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games, and good luck, hockey and NCAA tournament. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.